Part 3. Scaling and Management. Chapter 8. Building an Effective Team. Strategic Hiring, Investing in Human Capital. Your startup isn't just a brilliant idea, an innovative product, or impressive financial projections. At its core are people. They are your most valuable, yet often most challenging to manage asset. Every hiring decision is an investment, and like any investment, it must be strategic and yield maximum returns. Think of your team as a powerful engine that drives your entire business. And, as in any engine, every part matters, but especially those that start it and ensure stable operation. Choosing co-founders. The most important investment. If you are not a solo founder, then choosing your co-founders is, without exaggeration, one of the most critical decisions in your entrepreneurial life. Imagine you're embarking on a long and risky circumnavigation. Choose the wrong team, and the ship might sink, even if it was designed by a genius. Why is this so important? Load distribution. A startup is 24/7. No one can sustain that pace alone. Co-founders share burdens, tasks, and stress. Complementary skills. Do you have the idea, but do you have the technical skills to implement it, or sales experience, or financial understanding? An ideal co-founding team covers all key competencies needed for launch and initial growth. Emotional support. The highs and lows of a startup can be exhausting. Having reliable partners who believe in you and share your vision is invaluable in moments of doubt. Attracting investment. Investors invest not only in the idea but also in the team. A balanced, strong co-founding team is one of the main factors they look for. How to determine the ideal composition. Complementary skills. Assess yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? If you are a visionary, perhaps you need an executor. If you are a tech person, look for someone who understands business and marketing. Avoid cloning. There's no point in having two visionaries or two tech people if there's no balance in other areas. This leads to duplication and blind spots. Psychotype compatibility and stress resilience. Personal values. Your fundamental values must align. If for one, fast money is paramount, and for the other, changing the world, conflict is inevitable. Work style. One prefers to plan everything down to the smallest detail, the other acts spontaneously. One is an extrovert, the other an introvert. This isn't necessarily bad, but it's important that you can interact effectively, respecting differences. Conflict resolution. Disputes are inevitable. It's important that you know how to constructively resolve disagreements rather than harboring resentments. Discuss in advance how you will make important decisions and resolve deadlocks. Stress resilience. A startup is a roller coaster. Look for partners who won't break under pressure and can maintain a positive attitude during tough times. Shared vision and ambition. Where are you going? Make sure you all see the same ultimate goal for the company. Where do you want to be in 5 to 10 years? How grand are your ambitions? Willingness to sacrifice. Are everyone willing to work 60 to 80 hours a week, tolerate low salaries at the start, and put personal life aside for the common good? Exit scenarios. Discuss how you envision the company's future: sale, IPO, long-term ownership. You don't necessarily need a perfect plan, but understanding general preferences will help avoid conflicts in the future. Tips for choosing a co-founder. Don't rush. Spend enough time working together on small projects to see the person in action. Taste test working together. Ideally, you can work on an MVP or a small project together before officially formalizing the partnership. Clearly, divide equity. This is a painful but absolutely necessary topic. Use frameworks like the founder's dilemmas or slicing pie to fairly distribute equity based on each person's contribution, time, money, ideas, experience. It's better to over-communicate up front than to lose the business later due to disagreements. Use vesting. This is a mechanism where co-founders' equity unlocks gradually over several years, e.g. 4 years with a 1-year cliff. This protects everyone in case a co-founder decides to leave prematurely. Hiring first employees, maximizing return on each individual. When a startup begins to grow, it becomes physically impossible for the founders to do everything themselves. The time comes to hire the first employees, where each new team member must make a significant contribution to achieving key goals. Which roles are most critical in the early stages? When deciding who to hire first, focus on your weak spots and the critically important tasks for achieving your MPV and attracting your first customers. Developer, engineer, if you have a technical product. If none of the co-founders have deep technical skills, this is almost always the first and most important hire. You need someone who can turn an idea into working code. Product manager or designer, UX, UI. If your product is user-centric, it's important to have someone who understands how to create an intuitive and appealing user experience. This can be a dedicated role or a function taken on by one of the co-founders or the first hire. Marketer, sales specialist. Once you have an MVP, you need to sell and promote it. This could be someone responsible for digital marketing or a sales manager capable of negotiating with early customers, especially for B2B. Customer service specialist, customer success. As soon as you have your first customers, you need to support them, gather feedback, and ensure their satisfaction. Satisfied customers are the best source of referrals and repeat sales. At the start, this role might be combined with others, but it is critical. Principles of lean but effective hiring. In the early stage, every hire is a significant part of your budget and culture. Mistakes are costly. Hire slowly. Fire quickly. Don't rush into hiring. Thoroughly vet candidates. It's better to spend extra weeks finding the ideal person than to spend months dealing with the consequences of a bad hire. If it becomes clear that an employee isn't a good fit, act decisively. It's good for both the employee and the entire team. Cultural fit above all else. Skills can be taught, culture cannot. In a startup where everyone influences the atmosphere, it's important that new employees share your values and are prepared for a dynamic, often unpredictable environment. Basketball, not bowling. In bowling, you knock down pins yourself. In basketball, you need to play as a team. Look for players who make the entire team better, not just themselves. Use unconventional hiring channels. Don't limit yourself to standard job sites. Use networking, professional communities, referrals, social media. Offer more than just salary. It's hard for a startup to compete with large companies on salary. Offer stock options, the opportunity to influence the product, rapid career growth, a unique culture, and the chance to change the world. These are powerful motivators for those looking for something more than just stability. Legal protection of investments. Startup fundamentals. While this book is not a legal guide, and you should always consult with a qualified attorney regarding matters applicable to your specific jurisdiction, it's important to understand the general principles of legally protecting your investments in human capital and intellectual property. Incorrect documentation can cost a startup not only money, but the business itself. Key aspects of legal protection: employment contracts and agreements. Clear terms. Every employee should have a written contract that clearly outlines their role, responsibilities, compensation, termination conditions, and other key aspects. This helps avoid misunderstandings and disputes in the future. Confidentiality agreements, NDA, non-disclosure agreement. This is critically important. Everyone who has access to your startup's confidential information, ideas, technologies, customer bases, financial data, must sign an NDA. This protects you from the disclosure of trade secrets. Non-compete clauses. In some jurisdictions, these agreements can be used to restrict an employee's ability to work for a competitor after termination. However, their enforceability varies greatly. For example, in California, they are largely unenforceable and should be used with caution. Consult with a lawyer to understand if they apply to your situation and how to properly draft them. Intellectual property, IP, assignment agreements. This is arguably the most important legal document for any technology startup. It ensures that all ideas, developments, code, design, inventions, and other creative output created by an employee in the course of their work for your company belong to the company, not personally to the employee. Without such an agreement, if a key developer leaves, they could theoretically claim rights to part of the code they wrote, which could lead to catastrophic consequences for your business. Include this in every employment contract or sign a separate agreement before work begins. Equity and stock options. Documentation. If you offer employees equity in the company or stock options, the right to buy shares at a fixed price in the future, this must be legally documented. Use vesting for options and equity. This means they become available gradually over several years. This motivates employees to stay with the company and protects you if they leave prematurely. Why is this important for a startup? Attracting investment. Serious investors will conduct very thorough legal due diligence. The absence of properly drafted employment documents, NDAs, and IP assignment agreements can be a red flag that deters them or significantly lowers your company's valuation. Asset protection. Your intellectual property is your future. Protecting it from theft or unauthorized use is critically important. Risk minimization. Clear legal agreements reduce the risk of lawsuits and conflicts with former employees or partners, allowing you to focus on growth. Do not cut corners on a qualified lawyer specializing in startups and corporate law. This is not an expense, but an investment in the stability and security of your business. They will help you navigate the complexities of local legislation and ensure all documents are properly executed. Remember, a team is not just a collection of individuals. It's a living, evolving organism that requires continuous investment, attention, and a strategic approach. Correct hiring and protecting your interests at the start will lay a solid foundation for your startup's future growth and scaling.